Never thought I would choose this as a weapon, but now I would.
Cheese graters!
Mommy's with the maggots now.
What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking Evil Dead Rise. Today's question is, which Evil Dead movie is the best for you, and how does this one stack up if you've seen it? If you haven't seen it, no spoilers in this review. This is a twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable, directed by Lee Cronin, who is the director of The Hole in the Ground. I didn't really care for that. And of course, the movie's rated R for bloody horror, violence, and gore, some language. If you're taking children to see this movie, you're going to scar them for life, okay? So my recommendation is don't do it. I mean, if they're too young. I saw some scary movies when I was a kid, and I grew up real fast, man. The Evil Dead franchise is truly fascinating. It started out with the original films that are, of course, fan favorites. The first two specifically. Bruce Campbell, he is known for this role. He will forever be attached to the Evil Dead franchise. And of course, we've had the TV show and the more recent movie, the Evil Dead film, which I thought was really bloody, really violent, but maybe not as entertaining as this one. What this movie does so beautifully is it combines elements from both the original feeling Evil Dead movies and the more recent versions, and really more recent scary movies. It has a bit of a Conjuring vibe to it, but it takes some of those elements and it pushes them to an R-rated level, and to a degree that I honestly didn't think they would go to. Yet they do. Can we start with the cast? That's normally not where I start with a horror movie, but without these two leads and the entire family and really everybody in the movie crushes it. But Alyssa Sutherland is amazing. I mean, she is truly, this is a revolutionary horror performance. She's everything you want her to be and more. It's incredible. It's a mixture of the performance, the direction, the prosthetics, but she's phenomenal. And Anna Marie Thomas is also just as good, albeit very different role. But as good as the cast is, I have to give kudos to the director, Lee Cronin, who had the perfect mixture of tones. It had the outlandishness, the zaniness, specifically the main demonic entity that we're dealing with in this movie has some things to say, some very hardcore and R-rated things to say. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of what I saw in The Pope's Exorcist last weekend, although this movie is significantly better than that one. But it takes advantage of the R rating with the language, with the dialogue, because these demons, they are not kind. They are going to say what they need to say when the situation requires it, but they go all out, and you get that crazy zombie-like action, zombie-like madness when they're all coming after our family. And our family, the dynamic is fascinating. They'll do some things and say some things where I'm like, yeah, that was kind of dumb. And every horror movie falls into this trap. But sometimes screenplays, they can tell characters to do certain things that put us in situations to where the plot kind of requires us to be there. So there's one moment in the film where one of the kids, they see a hole and they're like, oh, that's cool. I want to go live in the hole, in the dark hole. And I'm like, why are you going down there? That's dumb. Are you not scared? Are you not terrified?
You what?
And I think something happens, like bugs are flying out and getting all over the place, and the kid's just like, here's a book. And I'm like, I would have screamed and I wouldn't have had a voice. So these are really the only moments of Evil Dead Rise where I'm kind of rolling my eyes going, okay, well, they're falling into that trap. But is it really a trap when it puts us in a great situation for the characters to have to recover from something that is about to happen to them? And when the madness starts happening, you get quite a bit of buildup in this movie. And at first, I'm kind of rolling my eyes like, do we need to learn this much about the characters? But as soon as you're 20 minutes into genuinely the most terrifying situation you could ever possibly be in as an audience member, I'm sitting back going, nope, I'm glad they had the build-up that they did, because now it's worth it. Because now you care about the family. I love when a horror movie makes me squirm. It makes me want to look away and say, I don't want to look back and scream, but I have to. But I don't want to. But I have to. It's weird because in real life, I hate needles. I have like a needle phobia. If one comes towards me, I'm on the verge of passing out. But in this movie, I'm like, yes, stab him. Do anything. And it was awesome. It was so cool to see. I think because I know it's fake, I'm okay to watch it, and it takes a lot to scare me. But for me, when you provide good imagery, good build-up, suspense, don't solely rely on jump scares. I know it happened, but I don't recall a specific instance where they go for the cheap jump scare in this movie. How rare is that? When you're watching a horror movie, usually they just kind of rely on that. I made the Conjuring comparison, but this is far different because that had the jump scares. They execute incredibly in that movie. But Evil Dead Rise, it's relying on that demonic imagery. That's what I enjoy about a movie like this, but that builds suspense and creates this intensity while you're watching. But that itself gives you chills. And then you think about the prosthetics and the special effects in this film. And yes, they utilize CGI, obviously, but it looked really good. I haven't even looked at the budget of this movie, but it looked fantastic. But the practical effects, the injuries that our characters are sustaining in this movie, I brought up a cheese grater earlier, and it's on the hashtag on Twitter, so it's not a spoiler, but
Cheese graters! No!
Come here, kids. Mommy wants to talk to you. Mommy wants to say hi.
I don't know if this is the bloodiest movie in the franchise, but the way they utilize blood and the creativity behind what brings out the blood. And there's a scene in an elevator. That was bloody. It was crazy. So before I give you my score, once again, if you enjoyed this video and you want to drop it a thumbs up, that would be awesome. What's your favorite Evil Dead movie? What's your favorite recent horror movie? Leave those comments down below. Evil Dead Rise makes for a great time at the theater. Horror fans rejoice because there's enough blood and chaos here to appease hardcore fans of the franchise. The relationships are meaningful, the imagery will haunt you, and Lee Cronin nails the tone. It's truly horrifying. This makes me want to see Cronin's next project, and this makes me want to see another Evil Dead movie. And yeah, I don't want to say anything more. I want you guys to see the film, and then we'll speculate on the future of this franchise. Thanks so much for watching. More reviews to come. I watched Ghosted with Ana de Armas and Chris Evans. Was that good? We'll see.